Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be repurposing this small wooden sign that my sister-in-law got out of someone's trash pile who had just discarded a bunch of stuff because they had a garage sale. So it was in really great shape. I actually don't care for it, and our last name does not start with an F. So what I'm doing is I'm just brushing on some craft paint, and I'm taking the rope off the top, which I had forgot to do before I started, as you can see. And I'm going to give this a quick brush over with the paint. And what I ended up doing is, because this sign is so dark and you could see it through the white paint, I did end up grabbing one of my small rollers, and you'll see that in a minute, and I rolled a couple more coats of paint out on it to get a really good coverage. I also went all the way around the sides because this is a pressed wood with a wood veneer on it. And then I took these little pine cones, and I am just doing some white tips and just a little bit of white kind of in where it would look like maybe snow got inside of the pine cone. And then also the top of the pine cone, or actually I guess the bottom of it, I put some white on that too because these are going to be hanging with the point facing down. And I did this with 2 small pine cones. This little sprig of greenery right here, I actually got at a garage sale just a few weeks ago. I want to say I had a whole bundle of greeneries that I got for, I think it was $1. And so I'm just pulling off 2 pieces that have little pine cones and 2 pieces that don't. And while my sign is drying, I'm going to basically do the same thing that I did to the pine cones. And I'm just going to be brushing over with a little bit of white paint to make it look a little bit snowy. And I also painted the little branch that these are on as well. And here I snow tipped the little pine cone that is on the end of it before painting the greenery. And I am allowing some of the green to show through, so this is not a solid coat of white paint. And I did all 4 pieces of those. And here you see I grabbed my roller so I could go ahead and throw on my second coat of paint. Now what I did, once I was finished with this, I didn't video this part, but I did get out the blow dryer and I dried it. That way I didn't have to wait an hour for this paint to dry. And after I had 3 coats of paint on, then I go back in and I'm putting the rope back on. Now I will say at this point what I should have done was my distressing around the edges, but I actually forgot to do it before I put all my decor and glued it on to the top. But I do go back, and you'll see that later, I do go back and distress the edges with my sandpaper. And here's a little ornament that I had. I'm taking this bell off because I want to use it in the center of my bow. And you'll see I'll be making a bow here in just a minute that we're going to be putting at the top of this sign. So I have my sprigs of greenery, my 2 pine cones, and I also had this little pick with some white berries on it that I'm going to use. And this ribbon I actually bought for another project, so it does not have wire in it. It's just a soft satin ribbon, and I'm going to be making a bow out of this. And I just fold this over a handful of times, and then I'm going to cut the end of the ribbon, and then you'll see I'm going to pinch it together in the middle in order to make our bow. Once I have that pinched off, I'll be using a piece of twine to tie around it to hold it in place. And this ribbon and the twine I picked up at the Dollar Tree. So once I have that tied on, then I'm just going to take the ribbon and kind of pull it out so it's not really overlapping each other and looks like a fuller bow. Now this does work really, really well for decor and packages, especially if you have the ribbon with the wire in it. So now what I'm going to do is take the smaller silver ribbon and I'm going to just tie a regular bow, and once I do that I will be gluing it to the center of my white bow. Once I have my bow tied, then I will be trimming the excess off so it's even. And now I'm just going to hot glue this to the center of the white bow. Here I cut a piece of twine, and what I'm doing is tying a little loop at the top, and then I'm gluing the ends at different lengths to the pine cones. And then I'm going to let those dry and cool down. Now it's time to start adding things to my sign. And this is where I messed up. I didn't do the distressing yet, but like I said, you will see me go back in and do that in just a minute. So I'm gluing the bow directly to the sign. And once I have that on there, I'm just going to kind of lay these out to see where I want them, and then I give them a little bit of a curve. And then I decided to just use the rope that was on the sign to put my pine cones on, since I had made that little loop on my pine cone twine. And this way they will hang just a little bit off center. And then I'm taking my little sprigs with the pine cones and the pine needles on them, and I'm just gluing them underneath the bow. Once I have all those glued down, I take my bell and I just slip it right over the stem on my white berries, and then I pinch it down, and I'm going to trim off the excess stem. Now this wire was a little bit strong, so I did go back in with my needle nose pliers and crimp it down a little bit so the bell wouldn't come off. Once I had that done, then I'm just going to hot glue it right to the middle of my bow. And I glue it a little bit on an angle. Now I go back in with my little sanding block with a piece of sandpaper around it, just to give the edges a little distressing and a little extra distressing on each corner. Now, if you decide to make one of these, or you have one of these signs and you want to repurpose it into Christmas decor, you can use whatever colors are in your Christmas decor. You do not have to use white and gold and silver and black, because my colors are all those colors plus a little bit of gold and copper mixed in. So I had these letters left over from a previous project, and they're just vinyl letters, and I'm kind of using this pine cone as a center point so I can get them pretty much in the middle. I'm not going to use a ruler for these. I'm going to spell out the word joy with my letters. And these are pretty large letters. I want to say these letters are 2.5 or 3 inches. And as you can see, I'm going to be placing the letters vertically on my board. Now, once I get these letters on, I could leave it just like this since my decor is black and white, but I want to go a little extra because I like a little bit of sparkle in my Christmas decor. So what I'm going to do after I have all of my letters down is I will be going back in with some Elmer's glue. I'm going to be painting that on my letters, and then I will be sprinkling some really beautiful iridescent glitter on top. Now I'm using a fairly soft bristle angle brush, and that seemed to work very well since the letters have a lot of curves in them. I did do all of the letters, and then I went back in with some glue before I dusted this off, and I put some glue onto my white berries so I can sprinkle some of this iridescent glitter on those as well, and that way it'll tie in that glitter from the letters. And now I just stand it up and kind of bang on it to get the excess glitter off. And this is the finished sign. It turned out so cute. I am just going to lean it up against the wall, and then I'm going to take a couple of pine cones that I have not painted, and I'm going to be setting those at one corner. And then you'll see when I show it after I'm done, I also went back and I added in a white glitter clothespin snowflake that I made. It's an ornament, and I set it in front of there, and it just looks so pretty. So once I have my pine cones there, I have some little fairy lights. I love fairy lights. If you've seen any of my other videos for fall or for Christmas, you'll know that I am obsessed with fairy lights. But I'm just going to kind of loosely wrap these around my pine cones and just place the switch right behind the sign. And here it is, and you can see the snowflake at the bottom. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you create a sign for yourself this year for Christmas or for someone else. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day. Merry Christmas.